it was funny because I feel like I know so much about you, but yet there's a lot of people don't know about you. And as I was doing research for this interview, you know, it's just amazing to me, not how long your career has lasted, but you are so unique in the space of not just hip hop, but just entertainment. A lot of entertainers feel this need to be perfect and not show people that, yeah, I smoke weed, or yeah, I do this or I do that or whatever. You have never been that way. And yet, you have a cookbook, you got TV shows, you are one of the most commercially successful crossover rappers ever. How is it that you are able to be this universally liked pitch man, but yet you can still be Snoop, that the OGs respect, that the hood holds down? Like, how are you able to balance in both worlds?
I think it's my introduction, the way I was introduced. I was introduced as me, and I've been doing me ever since. And when you manage to master the craft of doing yourself and being you at all times, everything else falls in place. It was never a time where I felt like I had to ride the wave of whatever was hot or ride the wave of a particular look or a particular style. I've always maintained being me. When I left Death Row Records to go with No Limit Records, I was still Snoop Dogg. I was just on No Limit Records. When I got with Pharrell after that, I was still Snoop Dogg. Like, me being me is all I know how to do. And that's what I always tell the youth today, that try to follow or try to do what other people are doing. That's the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do is be you, even if you're making mistakes, even if it's edgy, even if it's not right. Because what people don't understand is in the beginning, I wasn't this lovable rapper. I wasn't the one that everybody was, happy to see. I was one of the most feared and most hated and, tormented and talked about bad by politicians, ministers. People downplayed me because they didn't know who I was. They only knew of a perception that was given based off of my upbringing, my past that I hadn't really got rid of because I signed with a record label that was entertaining my past, and we was with the shit. So being young, that's what it was. But as you grow older and you learn how to, be a man, you have a family, you have things that you living for, then that becomes the scope. And I've never been afraid to position my life and say that I have a family now. I'm a husband now. I have kids. Oh, I'm a grandfather now. Like, I don't be ashamed of the shit that becomes my life, and that's who I am. And so when you see me on TV with Martha Stewart, I'm being 100% Snoop Dogg. When you see me in the hood, I'm being 100% Snoop Dogg. It's the same person. It's just this is how I move. This is how I get out. Just being me is all I know how to do.
So, was that something that just evolved, or did you make that conscious decision out the gate?
Out the gate, because I was inspired by so many great people before I got into the industry, whether it was athletes, actors, rappers. It was black excellence. If you was on TV, or if you was a star, you was that motherfucker back then in my era. It ain't like now how just everybody's a motherfucking star. Bullshit. You had to have criteria. You had to have credibility. You had to have, skills and people skills and be able to articulate and be able to move and be political and be strong for yourself and for the people and for the culture. That's what made you a star in the era that I come from. So that's what I thrived to be when I became a star. I wanted to be everything that Muhammad Ali, James Brown, the guys that was doing it when I was a kid, that personified what it was to be a black star.
Were you ever, I don't know if it was people, maybe not your label, considering the labels that you've been with, but like, were people in your ear trying to get you to change at all? Like, change your persona, change who Snoop Dogg is. Like, maybe you shouldn't smoke weed so much and let people know about this, or maybe you shouldn't say this or that.
You know what's crazy? Death Row wanted me to change. Like, they didn't want me to go like as soft as I did on the Dogfather. They wanted me to keep it gangster. They wanted me to like remain gangster and still be, fucking shit up. But I just went through a murder case, and I couldn't. My heart and my spirit wasn't in a place to write, "Nigga, I'll kill you. I'll fuck you up." And this, I was on some. I want to live, and my baby is here, and I understand what life is about now. And they was like, "Nah, like fuck that. This Death Row, we about this. Your shit need to be like this." So they pushed it the other way, as opposed to you would think it was the other way around when they like, you should maybe go commercial. No, they was like, you should keep it gangster. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I just went through this murder case, and y'all not feeling what I'm feeling. Y'all didn't sit in that courtroom with your life on the line. Y'all didn't have to go through the agony of watching this man's family look at me as being responsible for this man being dead. Like, y'all not carrying that weight that I'm carrying. And the way I was brought up, I can't do that. I got to be me. And that ain't me.
Mm. I noticed too, like looking at your fan base. I mean, it crosses age groups, racial boundaries. Um, it's my theory, and I know I'm not the first person to tell you this. I think you're the most famous rapper. I
For
do.
real?
I do. I think if you, Jay-Z, and Kanye got in a car and you went to someplace out remote in South Dakota, everybody knows who the fuck you are. And I think some of it has to do with their songs. Not that they have not made memorable, unbelievable music as
Right.
well, but Gin and Juice is a song that has defined so many different
Generations.
generations,
I
man.
feel you on
You know
that.
what I'm saying? And so, um, knowing that you've had that kind of appeal, what do you think it's about you that is so relatable to people?
My mama. Um, my mama, I'm my mama all over again. I'm just the male version of her. She was like me, or I was like her. As a kid, I just remember her having parties and her just being the life of the party, and her just in church, she would catch the Holy Ghost. She just was like the one, like would always be the life in the center of attention, and she always could handle that. She could speak well. She was strong. She would beat the niggas up that she was with. That's when domestic violence wasn't around back then. When a nigga would get his ass beat fucking with a real black woman. If you don't get your ass out of here, and I'm trying to help my mama, she like, get out of here. I got this nigga. But that's not here nor there. But that's just facts. So I get
I
come
relate.
on, quit playing.
I had one of the mamas
Quit
too.
playing.
Yeah,
So
I
my
relate.
mother is who I get all of this shit from because she had friends that were white, Asian, Latino, everything. She worked at different jobs where she would encounter different people and we would become a part of their lives. We would go to people's houses, we would go out, we would mingle. So my mother was like, she was always a people person. And she would always put me in schools where it was people that didn't look like me. It was people that didn't act like me. So I had to learn how to appeal to them and learn their shit. I went to a junior high school in a city called Lakewood. It was called Marshall Junior High School, and it was predominantly white. And I learned so much about rock music and just 80s, that long hair rock shit. That shit was amazing to me. And I hear a lot of it in my fucking music that I make now, and nobody knows, but those fans fucking love me because they can hear it too. So it's like, okay, then we had Mexican neighbors. I grew up with a lot of Mexicans as a kid, and they became my homies, and we was friends. So when I do concerts and I see 15,000 Mexicans in the crowd rocking to my shit, it's not an accident. You know what I'm saying? Then I went to this white school over here, and all of my friends were white, and we was cool, and Snoop was just the cool dude. He wasn't even the cool black dude. He just was the cool dude, which helped me understand them, and them understand me. So when I started writing my music was appealing to everybody because I was appealing to everybody.
Going back to those death row days, I notice now you seem much more open about talking about death row and Suge and Pac and all the times. Is this intentional? Like, why do you seem more open about that now?
I'm at a place where I'm at peace. A lot of it was just hidden, built up information and frustration because you don't want to sound like or look like you're trying to capitalize off my homie's death and then him being incarcerated. I've always looked at that. Like how everybody just, when he died, movies, videos, this, that. He went to jail. I got a deal. This, move, that. I'm like, I strayed away from all of that. Because I felt like I needed my space and my time to tell my story. Y'all get y'all's out. Say what y'all feel. When I'm in a place to speak on it, I'm going to speak on it genuinely and it's going to feel good and it's going to be right and the people going to need to hear it.